शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तः शान्तः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानामेकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிரக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन्। हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरनभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं विदरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കനായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Okay, welcome to the class. Okay, we'll start with the review of Dashakam 7 today. You can do 5. So maybe Ravi, you can do 5, and Aarti, you can do 5.
Can I start or?
Either one is okay, or whatever you guys want.
Start, sorry. Very good.
एवं देव चतुर्दशात्मक जगद्रूपेण जातः पुनः तस्योर्त्वं खलु सत्यलोकनिलये जादोऽसि दादा स्वयं यं संसन्ति हिरण्यगर्भमखिलत्रैलोक्यजीवात्मगं यो भूस्फीत रजो विकारविकसन् नानासि सृक्षारसः.
Maybe in the first and third line mattum there is a comma. Like first line after evam deva there is a comma, and third line after yam shamsanti. Okay.
Okay, sorry, what if
Keep it.
सोऽयं विश्वविसर्गदत्तहृदयः सम्पश्यमानः स्वयं बोधं कल्पनवाप्य विश्वविषयं चिन्ताकुलस्दस्तिवान् दावत्वं जगदां पदे तव तवेत् एवं हि वैहायसि वाणी ये नमस्य सस्रवः श्रुतिसुगां गुर्वं स्तवः प्रेरणाम् कोऽसौ मामवदत् पुमानिति जलापूर्णे जगन्मण्डले दिक्षुद्वीक्ष्य किमप्यनीक्षितवता वाक्यर्थम् उत्पश्यता दिव्यं वर्षसहस्रमात्ततपसा देनद्वमारादिदः तस्मै दर्शितवानसि स्वनिलयं वैकुण्ठम् एकाद्भुतम् माया यत्र कदापि नो विकुरुते पादे जगद्भ्यो बहिः शोकक्रोधविमोहसात्वसमुखाः भावासु दूरं गताः सान्तरानन्दजरी च यत्र परमज्योतिः प्रकाशात्मके तत्ते धाम विभावितं विजयते वैकुण्ठरूपं विभो.
Maybe in the third line and sandra dasam there is
Sandra,
ananda,
Sandrananda,
and then
yeah,
after the
correct.
cha there is a comma. Okay.
Santrananda Jaricha
Yeah.
Yatra Pram. Okay, got it. यस्मिन्नाम चतुर्भुजाः हरिमनिश्यामावदादद्विषो नानाभूषणरत्नदीपितदिशो राजद्विमानालयाः भक्तिप्राप्ततदा विदोन्नतपदाः दिव्यन्ति दिव्या जनाः दत्ते धाम निरस्त सर्वसमलं वैकुण्ठरूपं जयेत्.
नाना दिव्यवधूजनैर अभिवृता विद्युलता तुल्यया विश्वोन्मदा मादन हृदय गात्रलतया विद्योत्थिता शान्तरा तत्त्वत्पादाम्बुज सौरभैक्य कुतुकुलात् लक्ष्मी स्वयं लक्ष्यते यस्मिन् विस्मयनीय दिव्य विभावां ततेत् पदं देहि मे.
Arti, in the third line, first word twat. You said tat, twat, twat. And then the
Padambuja. Yeah.
twat padambuja saurabhaika kutukat.
Twat padambuja saurabhaikya kutukalat.
There's no la there. The il that is there becomes a it there. So
Okay.
kutukat.
Okay. Twat padambuja saurabhaikya kutukat.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. तैत्रवं प्रति दृश्यते निजपते रत्ना सदा सनाध्यासितं भास्वत् कोटि लस. I just struggle in this. Can you just break it down one more time?
It's easy to break that word.
Yeah.
Bhaswat koti lasat kirita katakhat yakalpa deeprakriti.
Bhaswat koti lasat karita katakat
yakalpa, and the
jagalpa.
So katakat yakalpa.
Yeah, jagalpa deepakriti.
Deeprakriti.
Deeprakriti Shrivat Sangitma Atma Kausutpa mani shaya rupena karanam
Kaya runam karanam.
Chaya runam karanam Vishvesham tava rupam maichyata vidihi tatet vibo bhatume Kalam bodha kalaya komala ruchi chakrena chakram disham Avarna vanam udara manda hasita yasyanda prasannanam Raja kambu gadari pankajadara Srimad Bhujamandalam Shrishtish Tuštikaranam Vapustave Vibho Madrogama Dvasyate.
So the second line towards the end. Hasita sienda.
Hasita Syanda.
Yeah, Prasanna. And then fourth line, first word. Srashtus tuštikaram.
Shrashtush Tuštikaram
Yeah.
Vapustave Vibho. Društva Sampratta Sambramaha Kamalam Bhuhu Tvat Padapayotruhe Rushavesha Vasham Vado Nipata Nitihi Prithya Kritarti Bhavan
Nipatitaha. And the second line, Nipatitaha.
Nipatitaha
Nipatitaha.
Nipatitaha Prithya Kritarti Bhavan Janasyeva Manishitam Mama Vibho Jnanam Tada Padaya Dvaita Bhavat Rupa Param Ityashtam Tam Tvam Bhaje
Ityachashta. Last line.
Ityachashta Tvam Tavam Bhaje Yatra me Charane Vinarma Matatam Hastena Haste Sprashan Bodhaste Bhavitana Shrika Vidibi
Na
Bandhopi
sarga, and the word bhavita from comma. Na sarga vidibhir bandhopi sanjayate.
Na sarga vibihi bandhyopi sanjayate.
If you have vidibhihi, just put a ir to join that, remove that visarga out. So it becomes vidibhir bandhopi sanjayate.
Vidibhir bandhopi sanjayate. Itya bhashya giram parosya nitaram Satchitta Guda Swayam Shristautam Samudrayasa Bhagavan Ullasa Lulya Gatam
Ullasa Yolaghatam.
Ullasa Yolagatam.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, we'll continue with Dasakam 8. I think we had done the first two stanzas, but I made to say the meaning, right? So let me just see who I had for today. Devi, you can be a student today, and Divya on. Divya is not on. Okay, Hema, you can be a student. All right. So we'll first start. I'll give the little bit of a background of the Dasakam 8, because some of those stanzas, some of the timelines which are being explained cover multiple stanzas, but it'll be difficult to do it one step at a time. So we'll kind of cover it upfront. So I think the context of this, this starts. The reason they're talking about this time itself, why time is being talked about, is because in Bhagavatam it first starts with describing how the smallest indivisible particle, which is called as a paramanu in our this thing, is the smallest indivisible particle. And it says in that smallest indivisible particle also that Bhagavan is there. So even that smallest indivisible particle cannot exist without Bhagavan being inside of it. So which means every other thing in this universe which is made as a combination of the subatomic particle, has Bhagavan, because the smallest, lowest common denominator has Bhagavan, God energy in it, right? Which means everything else has energy in it. That's how it starts with. And then that's how they talk about the concept of time, because they say time, just like how we speak about, we spoke about Prakriti, which is the material energy and all of that. He says, just like how that is one dimension of the existence of God, time is another tool in God's thing, due because of which things happen, right? So he says you cannot separate time away from Bhagavan as well, because even that is part of his extension. Just like how the smallest paramanu, the time it takes for the paramanu to interact with each other is the smallest division of time. And then from there, they're going to talk about the life of Brahma, which is the highest the definition of time that is actually there in the concept of life, right? So if you have access to the image I sent you all last time, you can look at it. It's easy to follow. Let me also open it. Then it'll be easy for you to follow it. So, okay. So the way the classification of time or the definition of life is defined is, so we all say we are in Kali Yugam, right? So Yugam is just time span. Okay, it's just Yuga is like a span of time. So the Kali Yugam, which is there today, is the span of a Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. Okay, we are only in year 5,000 and something of the Kali Yuga. So when Krishna departed after Mahabharata war and all of that stuff later, that began the end of the Dwapara Yugam and beginning of Kali Yugam. So from there, the clock ticked, and then now we are at 5,000 and some years, and we have 432,000 years for Kali Yugam to get over. So you put it as a simple 1x, right? For those who can follow math easily. Dwapara Yugam is 2x. So 432,000 times 2. So 864,000 years is Dwapara Yugam. Then Treta Yugam is 3x. So 432,000 times 3. And then Satya Yugam or Krita Yugam is 4x. So 4 times 432,000. So you take all of these Yugams which are there, you add them all together, it becomes one Chatur Yugam. Chatur means 4. So all 4 Yugams joined together forms one Chatur Yugam, right? Now, Brahma's day is defined as one Kalpa. Kalpa means that's a day of Brahma. Like how we take our 24 hours that we have, we call it a day, but the 24 hours is really 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. Just very basic split I'm doing, right? Similarly, Brahma has one Kalpa of day and one Kalpa of night. Although Brahma doesn't quite have a night where he goes to sleep like we do, but we'll see what happens in Brahma's night in this Dasakam. But you think of one Kalpa as Brahma's day, one Kalpa as Brahma's night. That one Kalpa is 1,000 Chatur Yugams. So the 4 Yugas which we join together to call one Chatur Yugam, you multiply that by 1,000, that forms one day of Brahma. 1,000 Chatur Yugams, and the 1,000 Chatur Yugams also form one night of Brahma. All of this, that 1,000 plus 1,000, 2,000 Chatur Yugams is really like one full day for Brahma, like 24 hours for us, right? And then there is a calculation where they multiply by 30 into 360, and then there is a couple of rounding errors and all of that stuff, which then forms the entire life of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years according to his calculations. Okay, so when you kind of multiply that entire 2,000 Chatur Yugams, and then you multiply that into 30 into 360 into 100, the long number that you get is the entire one Brahma Varsha, which you can see at the very bottom of what I sent there, which I don't know if it goes into trillion or more than trillion. I lose track of it at that point. But anyway, that's the entire life of Brahma. Like I said long time back, Brahma is a title. So when this many number of years gets over, the Brahma who owns the entire universe, that Brahma will be done. And the entire universe, if you remember, we started in Dashakam 5 of saying there was nothingness, and from that Prakriti, all this Mahat and all of that started coming to form that Brahmandam and then form the 14 layers of the worlds, happens at the end of that amount of time, which is the creation of the universe again. Creation of this universe again. I'll very specifically call it out because we'll see how there are multitudes of universes which exist, all of which are in completely different timelines and different Brahmas and all of that stuff. But this universe, which is the 14 worlds which are there, 14 layers of consciousness and worlds and Brahma that is there, that is the lifespan of this universe, right? Now, this one day of Brahma, which is referred to as Kalpa, like we spoke about, which is 1,000 Chaturyugas. So Brahma has delegates to take care of that one Chaturyuga because he can't manage all of that every time, right? So the delegates of Brahma are called as the Manus, M-A-N-U, Manu. And we'll see who the Manu is little later in Dashakam 9 and 10, it'll all come. But the definition of time is being set up here. So there are totally 14 Manus who take care of this 1,000 Chaturyugas or one Kalpa of Brahma. So you take 1,000 divided by 14, it is 71.25 approximately, which means one Manu manages 71 Chaturyugas. Okay. So that is the base definition. I will come later on in this Dashakam stanza 8 or something. I will walk you through the Sankalpam we do today, which is Adhya Brahmanaha Dvitiya Pararte Shvetavaraha Kalpe Vaivaswata Manvantare Ashtabimshati Tame Kali Yuge Pratame Pade. That entire thing I'll explain in this context. Okay. But you have to understand when I say Kalpa, it means it's the day of Brahma. Yuga means there are 4 different yugas which are there. Right? And Manu means Manu is a delegate of Brahma who handles over 71 Chaturyugas. Okay, so those are all the basic definitions, right, that you have to have. Then you can go understand the rest of the thing. Now, anyway, so there are multiple definitions of a pralayam. Pralayam means something which comes and destructs. Okay, like because it's a whole universe in Sanatana Dharma, it's a cycle. It just keeps on happening. This Brahma goes, the next Brahma is going to come. The universe is going to begin again. Now, that is one. So the pralayam, which happens at the end of the life of the Brahma, is called as the prakritika pralayam. And that's going to come a little later. So I'll point to you when that comes. The pralayam, which happens at the end of the day of Brahma, which is the Kalpa, the morning, the day of the Brahma, and then there is a night, which is also one Kalpa. So after that morning, one Kalpa gets over, there is a Pralayam which happens, which is called as a Naimittika Pralayam, which spans the night of the Brahma, which is also one Kalpa. So at that time also destruction is going to happen, and we'll see what destruction happens at that time, because that is how this chapter is going to start and then take us through, with the various, this Dashakam is going to start. So I'm going to pause here to see if anybody has any quick questions on the basic understanding of it, what the pralayam is and all. I'm going to talk later, but the timeline, do you have a general idea?
I have one quick question, Rajesh.
So
Chatur Yuga, we have this, and then one Kalpa is
1,000 Chaturyugas.
1,000 Chatur Yugas. And obviously, Chatur Yuga is like 4, the combination of these 4 yugas. So when you talk about this Pralayam, is that basically every yuga beginning and ending, and then basically when all the 4 of them come to an end 1,000 times, that's when one Kalpa finishes.
Yeah, that's when the major Naimittika Pralayam is going to happen, which we'll see what that Naimittika Pralayam is.
Okay.
However, there are also one-off pralayams that keep happening in between. Okay. But those are all like, compared to the size of the Naimittika Pralayam and compared to the size of the Prakritika Pralayam, they're insignificant. So there could be regular pralayams which happen, which might wipe out a planet in terms of destruction of that planet. But Naimittika Pralayam happens at a pretty grand scale, and Prakritika Pralayam also happens at a pretty grand scale. So these other, it says Sandhi Kala, right, which are kind of rounding errors in those things. So at that time, also different types of pralayams happen. There are one-off pralayam that's going to happen between the 6th and the 7th Manu, which we are going to see when we see Matsyavataram in Dashakam 32. So that is not Naimittika Pralayam, that's not Prakritika Pralayam, but there's another Pralayam that happens. So there are a lot of these intermediary things that happen, but those are not significant enough, right, in the broader context.
Between the yugams, are there also any significant, like,
No, it's just transitions that happen, but nothing major that happens, right? Now you, like we said, there are 14 worlds, right? With 14 layers of the worlds, like we said, right? So this context of years, when I say 432,000 years, that is at the Bhuloka level, which is at this level of consciousness of our planet, Bhulokam. When you start going above that Bhulokam, like we said, Brahma's one kalpa is some ridiculous number of years for us, right? Like 4 billion, 4.32 billion years of us. Which means when you start going up from Bhulokam towards Satyalokam, the concept of the time is different. So for Brahma, one day is 4.32 billion human years. Now there are intermediary time planetary levels between Bhulokam and Satyalokam, right? When you go a little bit up to the Pitrilokam, which is the planetary area where the souls reside in transition between births. Okay, so that lokam, every 30 days of ours is one day for them in terms of relative time. So for those of you who do Tarpanam, right, we do Tarpanam once a month when Amavasai comes, because for us that it's like you are remembering the Pitras once a day for them, which is 1 month for us, right? Similarly, when you go up further to the Swargalokam, where the demigods reside, 100 years of ours is 1 year for them. Or let me just make sure. One deva, oh yeah, 306. Let me just confirm that, because there is a little bit of where did that go? I think it's 360 or one. Let me just give me 1 second. Okay. 1 year, 1 day for devas is 1 year for us. So it's 360 combination. So 1 year for devas, 360 human years. So when 1 year passes for us, it is 1 day for the devas, right? And a lot of these things are going to happen later. I'll tell you a story of another king. When Balarama is going to get married way later, there will be example of a king who ends up going to Satyaloka and coming back very briefly. And by the time he comes back, several hundreds and thousands of yugas would have passed off on earth, right? That is entire dynasty. There is no reference of that, right? So they do talk about when you start going to these other worlds, which a lot of beings end up traversing, the concept of time is fundamentally different. At least when you come back to earth, so many years have already passed off in earth, right? And that will also happen in Dasakam 52. In 1 second of Brahma would have been, or not even second, less than a second of Brahma, 1 year would have passed off on earth when Krishna interacts with Brahma in Dasakam 52. Anyway, so just get the basic understanding of this. You don't have to remember all the points there, but anyway. So here in the first stanza, it talks about this way,
One
O
quick question,
Brahma.
Rajesh.
Go ahead.
The pralayam is not to be confused with pockets of natural disaster.
No. I will tell you
Correct?
what the Naimittika Pralayam and Prakruta Pralayam are. The
Okay.
size of that, right?
Okay.
So it is not like a simple, some region gets wiped out and all of that, right? So,
Okay, got it.
so the first one starts off, right, by saying that now you understand what a kalpa is, right? So the first day of Brahma's life, when Dashakam 5, this Kiranyandam happened, and then Bhagavan went and he created this Brahmandam with 14 worlds, and then he established Brahma in Satya Yuga, right? In previous chapter, Dashakam we saw. That first day of Brahma, of his life, is called as Brahma Kalpa. Brahma, Brahma Kalpa. So that's why it says here, Evam tavat prakrita prakshayante brahme kalpe hyadime labdha janma. So Brahma, when you were born, Brahma is not born, Brahma is created. So when you were born, Brahma, after that prakritika pralayam, which is in everything, nothing was there, and then the first time the universe was getting created, the first day of yours is called as Brahma Kalpa. That's the first stanza. Now, second one. Sohyam chaturyuga sahasramitanyahani tavan mitascharajanir bahusho ninaya nidratya sautvadi niliya samam swasrishtaihi naimittika pralayama huratosya ratrim. Couple of words which I said here. Chatur Yuga Sahasra. So 1,000 Chatur Yugas, which form one Kalpa of Brahma. That's what you start saying in the first line there. And then Naimittika Pralayam Ahuratosya Ratrim. So Naimittika Pralayam, which happens the duration of your Kalpa, when your day gets over, that equal duration of Naimittika Pralayam is your night. Right? So one day, one night forms one full day, right, for Brahma. So that's kind of where we end it. Now we'll see, we'll go forward. Right, did I say who? Yeah, I said, I think Hema Ninglu, and I think I picked, I forgot who I picked. Devi, sir. Yeah. Okay, stanza 3. अस्मादृशां पुनरहर्मुखकृत्य तुल्ह्यां सृष्टिं करोत्यनुदिनं स भवत्प्रसादात् प्राग्ब्राह्मकल्पजनुषां च परायुषां तु सुप्तप्रबोधनसमास्ति तदापि सृष्टिः. Okay, so you got the idea of the kalpa and all of that. Now we'll have to understand what happens in the Naimittika Pralaya and what happens in the Prakritika Pralaya, right? So in the Prakritika Pralaya is pretty easy, which is like we spoke about the entire universe, which has the 14 worlds, and it has the concept of Mahat, which is the universal consciousness. Then it has the concept of individuality, which was the Ahankaram. Then there are various senses, all of which, and then the Panchabhutam, all of which are required for the Hiranya Brahmandam to exist. So the entire thing is wiped out, right? Because if you remember in Dasakam 5 starts with when absolutely nothing was there, and it was just material energy, Prakriti sitting there. You, Bhagavan, with your Ikshana, you trigger that material energy to start forming all of these things, right? So you take the entire step reverse, just reverse everything back. Everything goes away completely, and there is absolutely nothingness, right? The entire, this universe, 14 universe is gone. That is called as the Prakritika Pralaya, which happens at the end of the 100 years of Brahma. Now, the Naimittika Pralaya, which happens at the end of the day of Brahma. So the way to think of it is the 7 bottom worlds which are there, which is Atala, Sutala, Vital, Talatala, Mahatala, Patala, they are all completely gone. And I'll talk about what gone means separately, but those worlds don't exist anymore for that period. The Bhuloka, which is that level of planetary system, doesn't exist. The Swarga Bhuvar Loka, which is one world above that, also doesn't exist. The Swarga Loka, which is one more level above that, also doesn't exist. So all of these worlds are completely dissolved. Okay, the worlds above the Swarga Loka, which is Satya Loka, Tapaloka, Mahar Loka, Janaloka, worlds exist, but the beings who are there in the world, all it says, they go off to sleep. So I'll break down what it means when it's a go off to sleep. So here, when we say these worlds don't exist anymore, like we spoke about when this Brahmandam is there, an energy of that Bhagavan comes into that Hiranyana, creates the 14 worlds, right? That is one Vishnu, right? If you want to know the name of the Vishnu, it's called as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. That is the Vishnu who lies in each universe or in each Brahmandam, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So all of these things merge into that Vishnu, which means there is a place of nothingness. So you won't see Earth at that point. You won't see any of the planets which are there at that point. They all completely go away. But like we say, you cannot say something completely goes away. It all goes away and remains in a subtle form which cannot be seen, but from which it can come back later. So the way they describe it is, it all goes into this Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who's lying at the bottom, who's there at the very bottom of the entire universe. So in this Naimittika Pralaya, all of these worlds are completely destroyed. The beings which are there are completely gone, right? And the top few worlds remain, but those worlds also, nothing is happening. There are no beings. The beings are also in a state of rest, which means like very similar to when you're sleeping. Yeah, you are there physically, but you are not doing anything, right? You are not doing any activity. So similarly, those beings continue to exist, but absolutely nothing is happening at that time. So that is called as a Naimittika Pralaya, which happens at the end of the day of Brahma. Now, when this Naimittika Pralaya gets over here, it talks about when the day begins, which is the Naimittika Pralaya gets over, the next Kalpa of Brahma is going to begin. So a new day of Brahma is beginning. So he says, just like how, when we wake up, right, what do? We repeat the same thing. We wake up, we brush, we get ready, we get kids ready to school, we go to work. He says, Brahma, you begin the cycle in your new day, just like how you did in the previous Kalpa. So you have to again, because remember, when Brahma is coming up after Naimittika Pralaya, none of these other worlds exist anymore. None of the beings exist anymore. So Brahma has to now begin the creation of that, which is different from when he first started, when his first day, Brahma Kalpa, Bhagavan had already created all the 14 worlds and Brahma had to just create the beings. So now he says some of the beings are all gone, but some of the worlds still exist. So you, Brahma, are beginning your day just like how you began your previous Kalpa. Now, we said there are some beings who are there who we referred as Chiranjeevis, the greatest of like when you Markandeya and all of them who are there in the higher worlds, they wake up. And what it means when they wake up is they remember what happened in the previous Kalpa. And for them, it is as if like you and I wake up in the morning and then we begin our day. But we didn't do anything at night. So same way, all these Chiranjeevis, during the Naimittika Pralayam, nobody is doing anything. None, but they exist. Some of the worlds exist, some of the beings exist, but nothing is happening. Then when the new day begins, all of them wake up, which means they come back again and they continue to do what they were doing previously in the previous Kalpa. So that's what the second stanza 3 is talking about. Just like how humans wake up, similarly, they also, but the definition of wake up is different between us and them. But I'm giving it in a very simple definition that they come back again and they continue doing what they were doing in the previous Kalpa. Just like how Brahma also does. So, Asmadrisham Punarahar Mukha Kritya Tulyam, Srishtim Karotyanudinam Sa Bhavat Prasadat Prag Brahmakalpa Janusham Cha Parayusham Tu, Sukta Prabodhana Samasti Tadapi Srishtihi. Asmadrisham punarahar mukhakritya tulyam srishtim karotyanudinam sabhavat prasadat prag brahma kalpa janusham cha parayusham tu sukta prabodhana samasti tadapi srishtihi.
ராஜேஷ் தத்தா வின்னு போட்டிருக்கு இதுல, நீங்க பிங்கிற தத்தா லாஸ்ட் லைன் தத்தா வி சிருஷ்டிஹின்னு போட்டிருக்கு, வின்னு போட்டிருக்கீங்க.
Oh, can you change it to pa pi tatapi srishtihi? You go ahead, Hema, one of you can go ahead.
Yeah. Asmadrusham punarahar mukha kritya tulyam srushtim karotyanutinam sabhavat prasadat prag brahma kalpa janusham cha parayusham tu supta prabodhana samasti tadapi srishtihi.
One more time.
Oh, sorry. Asmadrusham punarahar mukha kritya tulyam srushtim karotyanutinam sabhavat prasadat prag brahma kalpa janusham cha parayusham tu supta prabodhana samasti tatha bishrishtihi.
Devi, you can go ahead.
Asmadrisham punarahar mukha kritya tulyam srishtim karotyanudinam sa bhavat prasadat prag brahma kalpada janusham cha parayushantu suprabodhana samapti tadapi srishtihi.
Third line, middle word. Prag Brahma Kalpa.
Prag Brahmakalpa, right?
No, Brahma Kalpa. You said the first day of Brahma is called as Brahma Kalpa, right? Double A.
Brahmakalpa. Asmadrisham punaraharmukha krityatulyam srishtyam karotyanidhinam sabhavat prasadat brahmakalpadanu janushancha para yushantu supta prabodhana samapi tadapi srishtihi.
The third line again, Devi, you're saying Prag Brahma, you're saying it's Prag Brahma Kalpa.
Oh, Prag Brahma Kalpa Janusham.
Yeah. So that it says the Chiranjeevis who are born in the Brahma Kalpa, which is the first Kalpa of Brahma, for them, the night is just like night for us, which is they don't do anything, but they wake up and then they continue doing what their responsibilities are, right? And so forth. Panchashadabdhamaduna swavayurdharupam ekam paradhamati hi vartate so tatrantya ratri janitan katayami bhuman paschadinhavatarane cha bhavat vilasan. So now the question comes is, okay, if where are we right now? Right? In which day of Brahma, in the entire lifespan of Brahma of 100 years, where are we, right? Now, there are so many kalpas which are there in each of the day of Brahma and all of that stuff. So what everything we know about this universe according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana, and all of this is only two things. One, what happened at the very beginning. Two, what is happening now. Okay, so between what happened in the very beginning to what happened now, there is no record of anything. Okay, so here what Bhattripad is saying is, let me tell you about the current day of Brahma, what is happening, which is the current Kalpa of Brahma. Remember, current Kalpa of Brahma is 1000 Chaturyugams, right? So everything we are going to see from Dasakam 8 to Dasakam 100 is this Kalpa of Brahma. Okay, now let's see where we are in this Kalpa of Brahma. So first we'll start from the 100 years of Brahma, right? Brahma has finished 50 years. Okay, so I will tell the Sankalpam and then I'll explain this stanza in the context of the Sankalpam, right? Mamapata samasta durtakshadvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham. Then we say Adhya Brahmanaha. So we say the Brahma, who is the Adhyam, who is the originator. Because for us, everybody in this universe has come from Brahma. Now, Brahma has come from Bhagavan. So we'll keep that aside. But Adhya Brahmanaha is the one original Brahma from whom everybody has been created. All of us have been created. Adhya Brahmanaha. Dvitiya Parardhe. So you take the 100 years of Brahma and you divide into first half century, second half century. So we're saying we are in the second half century of Brahma, which means 50 years of Brahma has gotten completed. Okay, so we're in the second 50 of Brahma right now, of the current Brahma. So Dvitiya Pararte. Then we are in the Shweta Varaha Kalpe. So in that second 50 years of Brahma, which is we are in the first day of the 51st year of Brahma, where Bhagavan incarnated as Shweta Varaha, as a white Varaham in this Kalpam. So we are going to see Varaha Avataram later. Okay, but because Bhagavan incarnated as a white Varaham in this Kalpam, this day of Brahma is called as Shweta Varaha Kalpa. So we are in the first day. So imagine your Brahma's 50th birthday was yesterday night. So today is the first day of the 51st year of Brahma. That day is called as Shweta Varaha Kalpam. Now this Kalpam has got 14 Manus. So within that Shweta Varaha Kalpe, Vaivaswata Manvantare, we are in the 7th Manu, who is called as a Vaivaswata Manu. Because this Vaivaswata Manu is the S-O-N, son of S-U-N, sun god. Okay, so because he's Vivaswan means son. So because he's a son of that sun god, he's called as Vaivaswata Manu. So we are in the 7th Manu out of the 14 Manus who have 1 day of Brahma. So Vaivaswata Manvantare. Each Manu has got 71 and a quarter Chaturyugams. So in that, we are in Ashtavimshati Tame. We are in the 28th Chaturyugam of the 71 and a quarter Chaturyugams. Each Chaturyugam has got 4 yugams. So Ashtavimshati Tame, Kali Yuge. So in that, we are in the Kali Yugam of that 4 Chaturyugam. Pratame Pathe, like we said, Kali Yugam has got 432,000 years. We are only in year 5,000. So we are in the first quarter of the Chaturyugam. So Pratame Pathe. Right? So no, that's so Vaivashvata Manvantare, Ashtavimshatame, Kali Yuge, Pratame Phate. So you then you narrow down to that in that first quarter of the Kali Yugam, which Varsham we are in, right? That each year the Varsham changes. You tell which Varsham you are, then you tell your Tithi, you tell which day you are. So you then give a point in time where you are right now, and then you give a point in space where you are. And the space is given in the context of Mount Meru, which is the center of the entire universe. So from that, you give the direction of where you are in this Bhulokam in the context of that Mount Meru. And in this Bhulokam, you are in this place, you are in this, in this region and all of that. You give a point in space, right? So that's what the Sankalpam is, a point in time and a point in space. And then you say who you are, which is exactly what this is telling, which is saying, I am now going to talk about the first day of the 51st year of Brahma. But to talk about the first day of the 51st year of Brahma, I'm also going to talk about what happened on the night of the 50th year of Brahma got over. So you can see what happened in the Naimittika Pralayam and then what happens after that, right? How that Brahma goes about in his day. So we're going to see the previous night of Brahma and the current day of Brahma in the later stanzas.
Previous chapter. Adukku PowerPoint lang put
All right.
explain.
So Panchashad Abdham Aduna, you can break it at that. Panchashad Abdham Aduna Swa Vayordha Rupam. So put a im at the end of that line, Rupam, comma. Next line, the Mekam becomes Ekam. Ekam Parardham Ativritya Hi Vartate Sau. Tatrantya Ratri Janitan Kathayami Bhuman, comma. Paschad, it's a double the coming there. Paschad Dinavatarane Cha Bhavat Vilasan. Panchashadabdhamaduna Swabhayordharupam Ekam Parardhamativritya Hi Vartate Sau. Tatrantya Ratri Janitan Kathayami Bhuman. Paschad Dinavatarane Cha Bhavat Vilasan.
Rajesh, one more time, கொஞ்சம் split சொல்லுங்க நான் கொஞ்சம் தப்பா can you
In the
do
line.
it one more time? Paratma
Ekam Parardham. I'm just breaking at the ma. Parardham Ativritya Hi Vartate Sau.
ஒரே ஒரு செகண்ட் பட் பிரேக் பண்ணாலும் சொல்லும் போது அதை சேர்த்து தான் சொல்றேன் இல்லனோ.
I mean, when you're saying it
ஏதம்
continuously.
பரார்த்தம் அதிவிருத்ய அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பிரேக் பண்றது இஸ் டிஃபரெண்ட் பட் சொல்லும் போது
அது வந்து when you say it very quickly, the break will not be audible. Ekam Parardhamativrithya, right? It will go as one word, right? Together. But I'm breaking it only because if you're not able to say the full word together.
I'll go. पञ्चाशदप्तमधुना स्ववयोर्धरूपम् एकं परार्धमधिवृत्य हि वर्तदेशौ तत्रान्त्रयात्रिजनितान् कथयामि भूमन् पश्चात्तिनावदरेण च भवत् विलासान्. पश्चादिनावतरणे च भवद्विलासान्. पञ्चाशदप्तमधुना स्ववयोर्धरूपम् एकं परार्धमधिवृत्य हि वर्तदेशौ तत्रान्त्रयात्रिजनितान् कथयामि भूमन् पश्चात्तिनावतरेण च भवन् विलासान्.
Bhavat Vilasan.
पश्चात्तिनाव पश्चात्तिनावतरेण तरणे च भवद्विलासान्
शब्दमधुना स्वयोर्थरूपम् एकं परार्थमधिवृत्य हि वर्ततोऽस्वौ तत्रान्त्यरात्रिजनितान् कथयामि पुमन् भञ्जादिनावतरणे च भवद्विलासान्.
Devi, and the fourth line, first word, ish. Paschad
Divarana. Okay.
Dinavatarane.
Divnavattarane. शदब्दमधुना स्वयोर्थरूपम् एकं परार्थमधिवृत्य हि वर्तते स्वौ तत्रान्त्यरात्रिजनितान् कथयामि पुमन् पश्चाद्दिनातवरणे च भवस्विलासान्.
The fourth line, Paschad Dinavatarane.
पश्चाद्दिनावतरणे च भवद्विलासान्.
Answer 5. Dinavasaneta sarojayonihi sushupti kamastvai sannililye jaganti chatvajhataram samiyuhu tadedame karnavamasa vishwam. So now it's going to go a little bit more faster, don't worry, because the other ones had to establish the context of what it is. So he says now like we said, I'm going to talk about the previous night of Brahma and then continue into the day of Brahma. So we'll see what happened. We saw what happens during Naimittika Pralaya. This is all of these lower worlds are completely dissolved. There's no existence of those lower worlds. The upper worlds exist, but none of the beings exist anymore. And when you say none of the beings exist, even Brahma for that matter, Brahma is not going to be reborn. Brahma is still alive. But it's as if like the consciousness of Brahma is merged into the Lord. Just like how everything goes into, like I said, the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who is there at the bottom. He says, even similarly, the consciousness of Brahma is not doing anything during this night. So at that time, Bhagavan, in the previous night of Brahma, everything that was there, which is the physical worlds, as well as the consciousness of the beings who still remain, all of that was merged into you, and the entire universe, all at the bottom, became like one big, like we said, material energy with nothing there, right? So like how it was in the beginning, but the rest of the Brahmandam is there, but the worlds were completely gone, and all of them remain merged into you. So Dinavasaneta Saroja Yonihi, Sushupti Kamas Tvai Sannililye Jaganti Cha Tvaj Jataram Samiyuhu. Put a visarga comma. Jataram refers to the stomach. So we'll see why they're calling it as Jataram. Why does it go into your stomach? We'll see it a little later. Jataram Samiyuhu. So put a visarga and comma. Next line, if you have a is, that will go away. Tadedam, I'm just breaking at that ma. Tadedam ekarnavamasa vishwam. Dinha vasaneta sarojayonihi sushupti kamastvai sannililye jaganti chatvajhataram samiyuhu tadedame karnavamasa vishwam.
दिनावसानेत सरोजयोनिः सुषुप्तिकामस्त्वयि सन्निलिल्ये जगन्ति च त्वज्जठरं समीयुः तदेतमेकार्णवमास विश्वम् दिनावसानेत सरोजयोनिः सुषुप्तिकामस्त्वयि सन्निलिल्ये जगन्ति च त्वज्जठरं समीयुः तदेतमेकार्णवमास विश्वम्
दिनावसाने सरोजयोनिः सुषुप्तिकामस्त्वयि सन्निलिल्ये जगद्धि च त्वजठरं समीयुः तदेकमेकार्णव विश्वम् दिनावसानेस्तसरोजयोनिः सुषुप्तिकामस्वै सनिलिल्ये सन्निलिल्ये जगन्ति च त्वजडरं समीयुः तदेकमेकार्णवमास विश्वम्.
Answer 6. Tavaiva veshe phanirajisheshe jalaikasheshe bhuvane smasheshe ananda sandhanubhava swarupah swayoga nidra parimudritatma. So at that time, when the entire universe, like I said, it was merged in water. Like we said before, the word water doesn't mean the physical water that we are referring to. It is just a state of that undifferentiated, just the energy or mass, material mass that is actually there. When the entire universe, such as all the bottom, was reduced to that. Of course, the only thing that was functioning, Bhagavan, was you. Only you were there at that time, right? Functioning for that universe. And you were also in a state of yoga nidra. Yoga nidra means sleep. Yoga nidra means it's like not literally sleeping like we sleep where we don't know what is happening in this world. You are just in a state of yoga where nothing is happening, but you are of course aware of all the surroundings, whatever is happening, and no activity is happening. That is essentially what it means. You are in the state of yoga nidra, and then you remained there in your world with nothing else happening in any of the other worlds for the entire duration of the night of Brahma. Tavaiva veshe phani raji sheshe, jalaika sheshe bhuvane smasheshe ananda sandranubhava swarupah, swa yoga nidra parimudritatma. Ananda Sandana, always in a state of bliss, right? Because at the end of the day, the Supreme God is always in a state of bliss. There's no shoka, krodha, vimoha, sadvasa, mukhaha, like we said, right? Similarly, there's none of that exists. It's always a state of bliss. We forget to realize that when we take these births and then we move away, right? Tavaiva veshe phanirajisheshe jalaikasheshe bhuvane smasheshe ananda sandranubhava swarupah swayoga nidra parimudritatma.
तवैव वेशे पणिराजिशेषे जलैकशेषे भुवने स्मशेषे आनन्दचान्द्रानुभवस्वरूपः स्वयोगनिद्रा परिमुद्रितात्मा. तवैव वेशे पणिराजिशेषे जलैकशेषे भुवने स्मशेषे आनन्दचान्द्रानुभवस्वरूपः स्वयोगनिद्रा परिमुद्रितात्मा.
तवैव वेशे फणिराजिशेषे जलैकशेषे भुवने स्मशेषे आनन्द्रसान्द्रानुभवस्वरूपः स्वयोगनिद्रा परिमुद्रितात्मा. तवैव वेशे फणिराजिशेषे जलैकशेषे भुवने स्मशेषे आनन्द्रसान्द्रानुभवस्वरूपः स्वयोगिनिद्रा परिमुद्रितात्मका.
No, just parimudritatma on the end.
परिमुद्रितात्मा.
All right, we'll just switch. Vidya, Medal, you can be a student, and Divya, you can be a student. I'll say 7 and 8 meaning together. Kalakya Shaktim Pralaya Vasane, Prabhodayetya Dishata. So that word, I cannot break it. It's one long word. Prabhodayetya Dishata Kiladau Tvaya Prasuptam Parisupta Shakti, and then put a plus, Vrajena Tatrakhila Jivadhamna. Kalakya Shaktim Pralayavasane Prabhodayetya Dishata Kiladau Tvaya Prasuptam Parisupta Shakti Vrajena Tatrakhila Jivadhamna.
कालाख्य शक्तिं प्रलयावसाने
Sorry, Vidya.
प्रबोधयेत्.
And the
Vidya
Vidya
சொன்னேல.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Sorry for that.
कालाख्यशक्तिं प्रलयावसाने प्रबोधयेत्यादिशता किलादौ त्वया प्रसुप्तं परिसुप्तशक्तिव्रजेन तत्राखिलजीवधाम्ना कालाख्यशक्तिं प्रलयावसाने प्रबोधयेत्यादिशता किलादौ त्वया प्रसुप्तं परिसुप्तशक्तिव्रजेन तत्राखिलजीवधाम्ना
कालाख्यशक्तिं प्रलयावसाने प्रबोधयेत्यादिशता किलादौ त्वया प्रसुप्तं परिसुप्तशक्तिव्रजेन तत्राखिल जीवदाम्ना कालाक्ष्यशक्तिं प्रलयावसाने प्रबोधयेत्यादिशता किलादौ त्वया प्रसुप्तं परिसुप्तशक्तिव्रजेन तत्राखिल जीवदाम्ना
चेत् चतुर्युगानां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाख्यशक्तिः प्रथमप्रबुद्धा प्राबोधय त्वां किल विश्वनाथ. I combined 7 and 8 because they're pretty much kind of little bit saying the same thing. So like you said, all of these jivatmas, all the souls who are there, they all exist in the subtle form. Like we said, even when, right now we have this gross body. Then in Dasakam 4, we said how when you leave the body, you take a very subtle form, right? The subtle form doesn't occupy much space like how this gross body is occupying, right? So we all exist in that subtle form all the time, right? Now that all of us, and when I mean us, I don't mean just the people in the Bhulokam, the other beings, the demigods, Indra, all of them who are there, all of them in that subtle form, along with other worlds, reside somewhere, which is all residing with you, Bhagavan. And like I said, time is like a tool. So when the correct time gets over, which is Chatur Yuganam cha Sahasrameva. So 1000 Chatur Yugas pass, which is the duration of the Naimittika Pralaya. When that gets over, just like an alarm clock ringing and we wake up, Bhagavan, you then say it is time, right? For this whole cycle to start again of what happened in the previous kalpa. So with that, with your sankalpam, you decide that the same cycle has to start again. And then it says you wake up. No, it doesn't mean when you wake up, Bhagavan is sleeping and he's waking up. It just means that you now decide time to put things in motion, right? And there was nothingness happening, and now it's time to start things in motion. So with that, the time woke you up, is how it's defined, but you just, time is ready. Chatur yuganam cha sahasramevam, comma, त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाख्य shaktihi, put a F to join, shaktif pratama prabuddha, comma, prabodhayat tvam kila vishwanatha. चतुर्युगानां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाख्यशक्तिः प्रथमप्रबुद्धा प्राबोधय त्वां किल विश्वनाथ.
चतुर्युगाणां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाख्यशक्तिः प्रथमप्रबुद्धा प्राबोधयत् त्वां किल विश्वनाथ. चतुर्युगाणां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाख्यशक्तिः प्रथमप्रबुद्धा प्राबोधयत् त्वां किल विश्वनाथ.
चतुर्युगानां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाक्ष्यशक्तिः प्रथमप्रबुधा प्राबोधयत् त्वां किल विश्वनाथा.
Divya, on the third line, last word, prabuddha, double dha sound, prabuddha.
Prabuddha.
And the last word of the fourth line, Vishwanatha, not ta. There's no a sound at the end.
Okay.
Rajesh, one
Chatur.
quick question. Oh, sorry. One
Go
quick
ahead.
question, Rajesh. Yeah. In the last line, it says Kila Vishwanatha. That Vishwanatha refers to what? Like, I mean, if you just read it, like you'll think of, reference to Lord Shiva.
Yeah. So see, if you break that word, Vishwa, world, Natha is the one who is the owner of it, right? So in this case, it's referring to Narayana. But like you said, the Vishwanatha could be referred to any of the trinities. You can call it as Vishwanatha. Like you can even call Brahma as Vishwanatha, because Brahma is the one who's going to create all the beings who are there in that universe as well, right? So it's like a title, right? It's not a name. So it's like the one who is the Lord of the world. So Vishwanatha. So in this case, it's referring to the Narayana, saying you from whom everything is going to come. Even Brahma is going to come again, right? So that's the context here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
चतुर्युगानां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाक्षशक्तिः प्रथमप्रबुद्धा प्राबोध्य त्वां किल विश्वनाथ.
That's nice. Vibhudya chatvam jalagarbhashahin bilokya lokan akhilan pralhinan teshveva sukshmatmataya nijantasthiteshu vishveshu dadhata drishtim. Slightly different from the fifth dashakam. Fifth dashakam, we said evam cha dviparardha kala vigata. We said when the dviparardha had got over of Brahma, 100 years, and that entire duration of night, the life of Brahma had got over, you then, oh Lord, wake up, and then you just have a ikshana, you just see. And even that see doesn't mean seeing with the eyes. It's like your desire to start creation, and that triggers Prakriti to create everything, like we saw the first time. Similarly here, you've been in the state of slumber, and now that night is over, now time has come, you then see that all these subtle things are in you. So you say, okay, the time has now come for me to release all of that. So this is like a very simple example I give is like when the first time you buy a laptop, at least not the MacBook, because MacBook comes pre-installed with a lot of things. But previously, when you used to buy a laptop, you have to load everything the first time, right? That is kind of the first creation of the first day. This is like you put your laptop to sleep overnight, and then the next day morning you start. So it means all the things are there. It is just not awake, right? So all the applications have to start again, but you might not even have shut down your Excel and PowerPoint. Those are still running. So that's exactly how to think of it at a very literal, not literally, but at a very high level. So in this case, you decide that the time has come, everything is there, but everything is sleeping. So let me get everything out of me, and the whole world is going to start getting created again. So with that, dadata drishtim. So you then look at it, or you decide that time has come, and all this process is going to get started again. Vibudhya chatvam jala garbha shayin, comma, bilokya lokan, just breaking at that na, lokan akhilan pralinan, teshveva sukshmat mataya nijantaha. Put a is and put a plus. We're going to join the two lines. So nijantas sthiteshu vishveshu dadata drishtim. Vibhudhya chatvam jalagarbhashahin bilokya lokan akhilan pralinan teshveva sukshmatmataya nijantasthiteshu vishveshu dadata drishtim.
विबुध्य च त्वं जलगर्भशायिन् विलोक्य लोकान् अखिलान् प्रलीनान् तेष्वेव सूक्ष्मात्मतया निजान्तस्थितेषु विश्वेषु ददाथ दृष्टिम्. विबुध्य च त्वं जलगर्भशायिन् विलोक्य लोकान् अखिलान् प्रलीनान् तेष्वेव सूक्ष्मात्मतया निजान्तस्थितेषु विश्वेषु ददाथ दृष्टिम्.
विबुध्य च त्वं जलगर्भशायिन् विलोक्य लोकान् अखिलान् प्रलीनान् तेष्वेव सूक्ष्मात्मतया निजान्तस्थितेषु विश्वेषु ददात दृष्टिम्. विबुध्य च त्वं जलगर्भशायिन् विलोक्य लोकान् किलान् प्रलीनान् तेष्वेव सूक्ष्मात्मतया निजान्तस्थितेषु विश्वेषु ददात दृष्टिम्.
That's it. Tatastwadhiyadayinabhirandrate Udanchitam kinchana divya padmam nilina nishesha padarthamala samkshepa rupam mukulayamanam. So what happened? So we said, I was telling earlier, it says Tvajhataram Samihu, everything is going into your stomach, right? So I said, I'll tell you why they're saying everything is going into your stomach. Because it's like a metaphor. It doesn't literally mean Bhagavan does not have a physical form, right? So he doesn't need to have a stomach like we do. But what it is telling, the example is for us to be able to understand when a new child is born or child is growing in the embryo, the child is attached to the mother's nabi, right? It is from the mother's, nabi, an umbilical cord is connecting, and the child is then growing, right? And that's how it is getting all its nutrients, right? So even when it is really small, it is connected, and then as it is growing inside, also it is connected, right? So similarly, it says, from your nabi, O Bhagavan, there comes a lotus bud, a divine lotus. So they are not telling it as a physical lotus that you see, a lotus that you get in the market. They're saying it's a divine lotus. So why they say the word divine lotus is, if you think of a lotus bud that you get, you buy a lotus in the shop, it is normally in the form of a bud, right? Now, then you can peel off all the layers of the lotus petals, and then it blossoms into a full-sized lotus, which has got a center core. It has got so many petals around it, right? But when you're thinking of that lotus, you just see a stick and then you see a bud, right? But it has so many things inside, right? Similarly, it talks about from your nabhi, a divine lotus comes, which is the encapsulation of everything that was resting inside you. So it is just, you cannot literally take it as a lotus is coming out. You have to think of it as just like how a lotus bud has everything contained in it, everything that is in your body comes out and it is connected to you, because nothing can be independent of Bhagavan. So just like how it is connected to the lotus stem is connected to the roots, similarly from your nabhi, everything that has been sleeping comes out and it is now ready to be opened up, because later on it will talk about how the petals of the lotus open up and the entire world comes back, right? So all of that was residing in you. I hope you get the general comparison I'm doing here, right? So you cannot literally think of it as like a Bhagwan is there from his nabhi, a physical lotus is coming. How can the lotus have the entire worlds in it? It cannot, right? So it's kind of giving an example like how you can clearly now understand how everything is encapsulated. Similarly, something is coming out of your nabi, which is everything that has been resting, and now that is ready to be opened up and everything is ready to be created. So that's why it is called as Divya Padmam. It doesn't say Padmam is coming. It's like a divine lotus. It means something which encapsulates. So, Tatas Twadiyadhi Nabhirandrat. So put a it and put a comma. Next line, the du becomes a u. Udanchitam Kinchana Divya Padmam Nilina Nishesha Padartha Mala. Put a plus. Samkshepa Rupam Mukulaya Manam. Those two lines together. Tatastwadhiyadayinabhirandrat Udanchitam Kinchana Divya Padmam Nilina Nishesha Padarthamala Sankshepa Rupam Mukulaya Manam.
तदस्त्वदीयादैनाभिरन्ध्रात् उदञ्चितं किञ्चन दिव्यपद्मं निलीननिःशेषपदार्थमालसङ्क्षेपरूपं मुकुलायमानम् तदस्त्वदीयादैनाभिरन्ध्रात् उदञ्चितं किञ्चन दिव्यपद्मं निलीननिःशेषपदार्थमालसङ्क्षेपरूपं मुकुलायमानम्
ततस्वदीयादैनाभिरन्ध्रात् उदञ्चितं किञ्चन दिव्यपद्मं निलीननिःशेषपदार्थमाला संक्षेपरूपं मुकुलायमानम् ततस्वदीयादिनाभिरन्ध्रात् राजेश
Nabhirandrat.
ततस्वदीयादैनाभिरन्ध्रात् दयिनाभिरन्ध्रात् उदञ्चितं किञ्चन दिव्यपादं पद्मं निलीनशेषपदार्थमाला संक्षेपरूपमुकुलायमानम्.
The third line, Nilina Nishesha. There's a ish there, okay?
निलीननिःशेषपदार्थमाला.
Yeah. Chance 11. तदेतधं भूरुह कुड्मलं ते कले बरातो यपथे प्ररूढं बहिर्निरीतं परितस्फुरद्भिः स्वदामभिर्ध्वान्तमलं न्यकृन्तत. Like I said, the entire, like the idea of saying that it is coming, we saw why the Nabhi reference is coming there. So that is like the center of the universe from which everything is coming. Now, I'm just going to continue the explanation of this lotus bud only. So the bud which is coming out, which has all these things encapsulated, whatever was there in Bhagavan. Like we said, there is nothingness which is there, but like I said, there's nothing like nothingness. It is just material energy, which is, like we said, the paramanu, which I spoke in the beginning of the class, the subatomic particles, those continue to exist all the time. So but there's nothingness, there's no planets, no beings. So when this lotus is coming, now all the worlds which were merged, which were not there, are all beginning to come up. When all these worlds start coming up, what it says is it's lighting up the entire universe. Because now the energy sources are coming up, sun comes up, which lights up. So he says this entire, and this is the next two stanzas. So with this coming out, everything that was in you is now taking birth again, but it was not dead. It was just sleeping, right? That's a subtle difference you have to keep mentioning here. So all of this is coming, and then the lotus is petals are beginning to open up. So when the petals are beginning to open up, that means all the worlds are going and getting established like how it was before. All these Chiranjeevis who are there are going to wake up again. And in the next stanza, it talks about that Brahma who had gone to sleep again, or whose consciousness was not doing anything, is also getting woken up. He's getting awake right now. So that Brahma is waking up after night and saying, okay, my day is beginning. So this is what is happening between the night of the 50th year of Brahma getting over and the first day of the 51st year of Brahma. What happens in the first day, we're going to see in the next Dashakam, but this is the transition period of the night of Brahma. That is 11 and 12. So, Tade Tadambhoruha. If you want to break it, it is Tade Tad Amboruha, but you don't have to break it that way. Tade Tadambhoruha Kudmalamte, Kalebarat Toya Pathe Prarudham Bahir Niritam Paritaha, is Paritas Spuradbihi, Swadhamabhir Dwantamalam Nyakrintat. Tade Tadambhoruha Kudmalam te Kale Barato Yapathe Prarudham Bahir Niritam Paritaspuradbihi Swadamabhir Dwantamalam Nyakrintate.
तदेतदम्भोरुह कुड्मलं ते कलेबरातोयपथे प्ररूढं बहिर्निरीतं परितस्फुरद्भिः स्वधामभिर्ध्वान्तमलं न्यकृन्तत्. तदेतदम्भोरुह कुड्मलं ते कलेबरातोयपथे प्ररूढं बहिर्निरीतं परितस्फुरद्भिः Swadhamadbhirdhvantamalam nyakrintat.
A third line, last word, Vidya, Spuradbihi.
Puradbihi. Rajesh, a question for you. Swadhamabhirdvanta, adla vandu pirikilama?
I mean, it's Swadhamabhir is one word.
Oh, okay.
You can break it, but it's too much difficult to break that sandhi. So that you can just keep it as one word. Swadhamabhir Dwantamalam.
So the word itself is Swadhamabhir, is it? The last word is ir, is it?
If you have a visarga there saying Swadhamabihi, if you have a visarga, then you put a ir to join it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay, is it what you have? You have Swadhamabihi?
No, I just wanted to know because usually we don't, when you said word is Swadhamabhir, I was wondering whether the word itself is Swadama
No,
Bir.
no. It doesn't end with the ir. It's Swadamabihi. Swadamabi is the
Bi.
word. So
Okay.
Swadamabihi is the visarga. That's how it's written. But because Vya is coming later, it takes a ir as a joining letter. So
Okay.
Swadamabhir.
And the Va has the visarga, so that becomes Swadama Bir Dvantam Alam Nyakrintat, right?
Correct. And the dha is coming later, right? So that ir becomes the joining letter for the visarga.
Okay, okay, thank you.
तदेतदम्ब्रोः कुद्मलं ते कलेबरातोयपते प्ररूढं बहिर्निरीतं परितः स्फुराब्धिः स्वदामभिर्ध्वान्तम् अलं न्यकृन्तत् तदेतं
Sorry, Divya, on the first word. Tadetadambhoruha.
Tade, what is it?
Tadetadambhoruha.
Tadetadambhoruha kudmalam te kalebaratoyapate prarudham bahirniritam paritaf spurabdihi swadama bhridvantam alam nyakrintat.
Answer 12. Sampulla patre nitaram vichitre tasmin bhavadvirya dhrite saroje sapadma janma vidira virasite swayam prabuddha kila vedharashihi. So Padma Janma. So because this Brahma, you will see a lot of the times Brahma is going to be referred with all of these words with the root word of Padma in there. So because we said that Brahma is coming from this Padmam, from this divine lotus, he's Padma Janma, the one who's born from the lotus, or the one who's Padma Yoni. All of these words are going to get referred to Brahma only. But the word Brahma, when he's now coming again, it's not his first day, right? So when his first day was there, Bhagavan had to give him all the knowledge on his first day. But this is already 50 years old, and this is his first year, the 51st year. So he's already born with a lot of the knowledge. He doesn't have to get all the knowledge again. So he says, Swayam Prabuddha Kila. He's automatically born. He's automatically not born. He's automatically waking up with all the knowledge in him already. Because he's just sleeping. And like when we sleep, we wake up, we already have all the knowledge. However, we don't remember everything that was there. So that's what is going to happen to Brahma the next day morning. We might forget something that was happened previous day. But majority of the key information Brahma already retains so that he can continue the process. Sampulla patre nitaram vichitre, tasmin bhavat virya dhrite saroje sa padma janma vidira virasit. It's one word. If you want to break it, it is vidhir avirasit. You can break it that ra, swayam prabuddha kila veda rashihi. Sampulla patre nitaram vichitre tasmin bhavat virya dhrite saroje sapadma janma vidira virasite swayam prabuddha kila vedharashihi.
सम्फुल्लपत्रे नितरां विचित्रे तस्मिन् भवद्वीर्यधृते सरोजे सपद्मजन्मा विधिरा विरासीत् स्वयं प्रबुद्धाखिल वेदराशिः सम्पुल्लपत्रे नितरां विचित्रे तस्मिन् भवद्वीर्यधृते सरोजे सपद्मजन्मा विधिरा विरासीत् स्वयं प्रबुद्धाखिल वेदराशिः
सम्पुल्लपत्रे नितरां विचित्रे तस्मिन् भवद्वीर्यधृते सरोजे सपद्मजन्मा विधिरा विरासीत् स्वयं प्रबुद्धा अखिला वेदराशिः.
Divya, again here, prabuddha, double dha, prabuddha khila.
सम्पुल्लपत्रे नितरां विचित्रे तस्मिन् भवद्वीर्यधृते सरोजे सपद्मजन्मा विधिरा विरासीत् स्वयं प्रबुद्धा किला वेदराशिः.
That's a 13. अस्मिन् परात्मन् अनुपाद्मकल्पे त्वमित्तमुत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णो. This stanza, a lot of people generally know this, because this is very considered to be a very powerful stanza, right? So you can kind of mark it and keep if you want. So this one is saying, wrapping up this Dasakam, saying this way that Brahma, who came from the Padma, right? So it's called, so now this Brahma's one day we said was Kalpa. The 100 years of Brahma is called as a Mahakalpa of a Brahma. It's the entire lifespan of a Brahma, right? 100 years. This Brahma, in this 100, all of his 100 years, every day, he is going to come from the Padmam of the Nabhi of the Lord. The same process is going to repeat, right? So he says, oh Bhagavan, oh Guruvayurappa, you were able to bring that Brahma from the Padmam from your Nabhi, who is then going to do all of these things. So that you Roga Rashim Nirundi, please eradicate my ailment. That is such an insignificant thing, right? You are getting this, you're just taking everybody into you, the entire world into you. Then when you wish, you're bringing them all back out, and then only the entire process has to create. So getting rid of the ailments and the diseases I have is such an insignificant task for you. So that the one you who got this Brahma out, please eradicate all my ailments also. Oh Vathalaya Vasa Vishnu, oh Guruvayurappa, please eradicate that. So Asmin Paratman Nanu Padma Kalpe, Twamittam, I'm just breaking at that nu there, Twamittam Uttapita Padma Yonihi Ananta Bhuma Mama Roga Rashim Nirundi. So you put a plus and then put a comma after the word Nirundi, because Nirundi is to get rid, eradicate. Roga Rashim is all the diseases and the ailments I have. So eradicate all the diseases and ailments I have. So Mama Roga Rashim Nirundi, comma, Vatalaya Vasa Vishnu. Asmin Paratman Hanupadma Kalpe Tomittamuttapita Padmayonihi Ananta Bhuma Mama Roga Rashim Nirundi Vatalaya Vasa Vishnu.
ராஜேஷ், இது வந்து காஞ்சி பெரியவா இருக்காளோ, நான் அவ வந்து ஈவன் ஃபார் கேன்சருக்கு கூட the ஸ்லோகம் இஸ் a cure அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இது வந்து நிறைய ஆர்டிகல்ஸ்ல எல்லாம் கூட நிறைய ரீட் பண்ணிருக்கேன் நான்.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said a lot of people know about this, because people gently learn this stanza and keep, right? So
अस्मिन् परात्मन् अनुपाद्मकल्पे त्वमित्थमुत्तापित पद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णु. अस्मिन् परात्मन् अनुपाद्मकल्पे त्वमित्थमुत्थापित पद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णु.
Rajesh, I have a question. நீங்க வந்து இந்த ரோகராஷிம் பிளஸ் நிருந்தி சொன்னேன் இல்லையா, சந்தி. இந்த வீடியோஸ்ல எல்லாம் இந்த like you said it's very popular, so we all those break it as rogarashim nirundi vatale. Is there a reason why we are joining it?
Yeah, because like I said, rogarashim refers to all the diseases and the ailments you have.
Okay.
Nirundi is to eradicate it.
Okay, got
right? It. Vathalaya Vasa Vishnu is O Guruvayurappa.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So you kind of have to break that or put that comma after the Nirundi to say, please eradicate all my ailments, O Guruvayurappa. Right?
Okay, so, thank you. Yeah.
Asmin Paratman Nanupadma Kalpe Twamittamutma Utta Pita Padmayonihi Ananta Bhuma Mama Rogarashim Nirundi Vatalaya Vasa Vishnu. Asmin Paratman Nanupadma Kalpe Twamittamutta Padmayonihi Ananta Bhuma Mama Rogarashim Nirundi Vatalaya Vasa Vishnu.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. सान्ध्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानाम्. Thank you, everyone. We just have one more dashakam to go with all this creation and cosmos and Brahma and all of that. After that, from 10, it becomes much more relatable because then the beings we know start coming out, right? So then we can relate to it much. Right now, it's a little bit theoretical, but it'll all, from 10, it'll become easier to understand. So.
And the laptop analogy was very good. Sleep mode, Rajesh. And also the pralay may be the control all del of it or something like that.
That's it. Because nothing is happening, right? Like, of course, you can always, it may not be the exact thing because somebody who's technical enough might say, I still have processes running in the background and all of that. Right. But since I work only on Excel and PowerPoint and Outlook, such a
exactly.
Right?
And also,
that's very good.
Also, Rajesh, அந்த நாபி கமலம் வந்து நிறைய இடத்துல பிரம்மாவோட போட்டோ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த லோட்டஸ் வரும், நாபிலேருந்து லோட்டஸ் வரா மாதிரி வரைஞ்சிருப்பா. So you did a very wonderful job of explaining that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sure. And in next class also, Brahma is going to go down the stem of the lotus looking for things. I'll explain what that actually means. Okay. But essentially, but to some extent, lotus comes from the lotus ponds. If you have seen it, is generally a very dirty pond. Like it's not a clean pond. But the lotus is considered very pure and clean, right? So when you kind of think of all of this coming as a lotus, indirectly to some extent, some of the explanations are this undifferentiated matter, which is all sitting because nothingness is there. It's very messy, nothing is there. So from there, a beautiful universe is coming about, right? Yeah. So that's why it's talking about from that dirt and from that unmanifested world, a beautiful world is coming about, which is encapsulated, but then begins to expand. Like, I'm not going to compare it to Big Bang or anything of that sort, but I'm just saying something is there and then everything expands, right? So that is how this explanation of this bud and the lotus is coming about. It comes as a subtle form and then it expands and traverses into the entire universe, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Could I ask you one more question if it is okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just on the Brahma's night, that Kalpa, does it mean nothing happens at that time because he himself is sleeping or?
Yeah. Nothing happens. Like I said, when I say nothing happens, it's like the world is still, universe is still there, right? So the energy which is sustaining the universe is still there, but no beings are awake. No other activity is happening, right? So like we say, when we go to sleep at night, our body is still functioning, but you are not conscious. You are not doing anything, right? I'm just doing a very subtle comparison there, right? So Andamari, the world is still, some of the top worlds are still there. That unmanifested energy is all still there. The Bhagavan is still there. All of that is still there, but no other activity is happening.
And then what is the timeline for this Prakritika Pralayam?
Prakritika Pralayam is again the 100 years of Brahma, which is the life of Brahma. When that Brahma's 100 years gets over, that entire another 100-year life of Brahma is the Prakritika Pralayam, where the entire universe is completely gone and then everything starts. This universe starts all over again. But like we said in Dashakam 5, multiple universes are getting generated and multiple universes are going in, all happening in parallel.
And that will be different Brahma, right? Like Prakritika Pralayam, after like 100 years of Brahma. So we say that every Brahma has like 100 years. So at the end of 100 years, it will be another Brahma, right? It won't
another
be...
Brahma. Like I said, Brahma is a title.
Yeah. Okay.
So another creator comes to manage that universe, and there are multiple such creators all over. For each of the universe that is there is a Brahma who is there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.